We're now going to learn how to perform this grouping with the group by method, which is one of the most important and valuable methods in pandas that allows you to create groups within your data frame. So there are many different actions you can perform within your groups. We're going to concentrate on a single action, which is aggregation. This is the most common and most basic thing to do within your groups. We're going to aggregate different columns into a single value. But just so that you are aware, you can perform many different actions besides aggregation. Aggregation is just one of them. There are three components to every group by aggregation that you must be aware of: the grouping column, aggregating column, and aggregating function. This will become very apparent once we do some examples. But for now, here is the definition. The grouping column is the one where every distinct value in that column forms its own group. So that is like the department column from above. We had three distinct values, which formed three distinct groups. The aggregating column, this is the column that will be aggregated. So it's usually numeric, and above was salary or experience. And then we have the aggregating function, which is how are we going to aggregate this column? Like, what are we going to do to it? Are we going to sum it up? Are we going to take the mean, median, min, max, or any of the other aggregations that are available? So you need to be aware of these three components. Now, how do you put this together in pandas? What syntax do you use for the group by method? As is a common theme in pandas, there are multiple different syntaxes available. So this method will take a while to learn. I'm only going to present one syntax version here. I'll save the others for a later chapter. I don't want to confuse you with all these different syntaxes when we want to focus on doing the grouping itself. Okay, so this is how it works. It is a two-step process where you have to use method chaining with the group by method. And here is the generic syntax over here where df is your data frame. You're going to call the group by method, place the grouping column as a string, then chain the ag method. And within here, you're going to, this is the one piece I have not talked about yet, is there will be a resulting column, and you can name it as a parameter over here. You're going to set this, assign this to a two-item tuple of the aggregating column and then the aggregating function as strings. Okay, so step one is you perform the grouping with group by. Step two is call the ag method. All right, so let's see how this is done. And after, it looks a little complex right now, but after a couple of examples, you should be able to get it. So I'm going to read in the City of Houston data set, and we're going to use this syntax from above. Before we do that, let's go ahead and cover how we can aggregate, how we used to aggregate. So we took a single column like salary and called the mean method like this. Now, instead of aggregating the column for the entire data frame, we're going to do so on groups, and we are going to group by department. So all the independent departments will have a group. So we're going to say group by department, and then we're going to chain the ag method. And then what we have to do is come up with a new column name. So we can say mean salary and assign that to this two-item tuple of the aggregating column. So let's aggregate salary here. And how are we going to aggregate it? That's going to be the aggregating function, which we will say mean. So that is it. That is our two-step process, and this is the result. So we get a one-column data frame. Notice this is not a two-column data frame. This is the index over here. So the grouping column will be placed into the index. The unique values will be placed in the index, and this is the result. This is the mean salary of each one. We can call the round method to clean it up a little bit. So we'll round it to the nearest 1,000. So what this is saying is the mean salary for the fire department is 51 or 61,000. The mean salary for health and human services is 55,000. Now, when you create a group by aggregation, you need to be able to identify each piece, right? So the grouping column department, the aggregating column salary, the aggregating function is mean. This is just a cleanup, it's just naming the column, so not really part of it. But is necessary for the syntax. So you do need to be aware of how that is used. It is not a string, it is a parameter name, and you set it equal to a tuple of the aggregating column and the aggregating function. Okay, so that is the simplest thing you can do here for a group by aggregation. So again, the components are the the grouping column, the aggregating column, and then the aggregating function. So know those three pieces when you're doing group by, and you'll be able to handle this syntax and do the grouping that you wish to do.